Hello viewers, this is Manaye from Wisdom Lecture Collection. Thank you for subscribing and attending our lecture series in different courses that we deliver. By now I have brought you one of the chapters that we have in general psychology and life skills, which is actually the first chapter entitled as Essence of Psychology. So we will be together with the discussion in the general view of the what of psychology. Two things to do. The first is just looking at the outline, and then I will come up with summary. Here in this chapter there are topics embedded, and that enmeshment of the topics will let you know much about psychology in advance. What do you mean by psychology? What are the goals of psychology? The historical roots, the viewpoints, the early schools and the modern perspectives. Then we will take a look at the branch or subfields, specializations in the discipline. Finally, we will also discuss research methods in psychology. How do psychologists know what they know? All these points will be addressed when we stay together. Thank you so much for making Wisdom Lecture Collection a choice. Let's get started. When we begin, we get the definition of psychology. As you take a look at the screen, the term psychology is derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos. Psyche refers to mind, soul, spirit, and logos refers to study. Then literally, psychology was just conceived as the study of mind. But this literal meaning or epistemological conception has brought ambiguous ways in just exercising the discipline because of the complexity that just emanates from the term mind, soul, spirit. So there is a confusion with parapsychological issues and the psychology as science, etc. This is why that we come up with the view of the discipline psychology. Psychology is a scientific study of human behavior and mental processes. So the following points are very important. For one thing, psychology is science. For the second thing, it deals with behavior, and it has also mental processes as concerns. And in fact, we have the understanding that science is with methods such as the empirical justification and verifications, skepticism, research-based way of synthesizing and bringing about thematic scheme, and the like. What about behavior? When we just say behavior, we are referring to outward or overt actions and reactions such as talking, facial expression, movement, and there is actually covert behavior in addition to the overt one, which is the covert one is hidden, non-observed, but we can make inference. Mental processes are all the internal covert activities of our mind, such as thinking, feeling, remembering, memorizing, conceptualizing, so on and so forth. So with this understanding in mind, please put involved that psychology is science that deals with behavior and mental processes. Psychology የሰው ባህሪንና አእምሮአዊ ሂደቶችን የሚያጠና ሳይንስ ነው የሚለውን እንድታሰምሩልኝ ፈልጋለሁ። ለምን ሳይንስ አለን? ቀደም እንደተናገርኩት ነው። ሳይንስ መሰለኝ ደሳለኝ ተብሎ የሚወራ ነገር አይደለም። ቬሪፋይ መደረግ አለበት። ቴሪ ቤዝድ በምርምር የተደገፉ ሐሳቦች መነሳት መቻል አለባቸው። የሰው ልጆች ባህሪያት የምናጠናባቸው መንገዶች ሳይንሳዊ ሂደቶችን የተከተሉ እንዲሆኑ ይገባል ከባህሪያት ባሻገር አእምሮዊ ሂደቶችንም ሳይኮሎጂ እንደሚያጠና ጠቁሜያለሁ ማለት ነው ይህን ይመስላል ትርጉማችን ስለዚህ ሳይኮሎጂ ምንድነው ከተባላችሁ ሳይኮሎጂ ባህሪንና አእምሮዊ ሂደቶችን የሚያጠና ሳይንስ ነው እንላለን በዚህ ሳይንስ ውስጥ ደግሞ እንደ ሳይንስ እንደምታውቁት በተለይ ሳይንቲፊክ ሪሰርች ሜተድስ የሚጋሯቸው አራት ጎልስ አሉ እነዚህ ጎልስ ኦፍ ሳይኮሎጂ ውስጥም የሚነሱ ናቸው the first is description involves observing the behavior and noticing everything about it meaning we just go for identifying the what of behavior what's going on what how much እንዴት ነው ያ ባህሪ we observe and record በአይነት በመጠን ያለበትን ሁኔታ and then causal identification is expected to be done ሁለተኛው goal explanation ነው why is this happening ቀደም what ብያችሁ ነበር description ላይ why is it happening find reasons for observed behavior and then what will happen ያ ባህሪ በዛ ከቀጠለ የሚለው ደግሞ ሶስተኛው goal prediction ላይ ነው ያለው ማለት ነው prediction is about determining what will happen in the future finally አራተኛው controlling ነው control or modify or change ባህሪያት ለራስም ለሌላም ሰው የሚጎዱ ሊሆኑ ይችላሉ የሚጠቅሙ ሊሆኑ ይችላሉ let the behavior be good or bad acceptable unacceptable antisocial or prosocial it could be right or wrong ethical unethical so ጥሩ ባህሪያትን በጣም ጥሩ እንዲሆኑ እጅግ በጣም ጥሩ እንዲሆኑ መጥፎና ጎጂ ባህሪያትን ደግሞ እንዲወገዱ የሚያደርጉ ስራዎች እንዲሰሩ ጭምር controlling ላይ emphasize እናደርጋለን ሌላው in the historical background እስካሁን ሁለት ቶፒኮችን አውርተናል in the historical background and major perspectives we do have the following issues በተለይ ፍልስፍና ውስጥ የbody mind issue የአሪስቶትሊያን Plato Socrates የፕሌቶ የአሪስቶትል የሬኔ ዴካርት ያዩባቸውን የዱalism monism and instructionism views ከዛ በኋላ ደግሞ epistemology ውስጥ it's a branch of philosophy that deals with knowledge እና እዛ ላይ source of knowledge rationalism እና empiricism views ነበሩ rationalism advocates that the reason is a source of knowledge and empiricism ደግሞ experience የነኛ ነገሮች በተለይ እርሾ ሆኖ የሚያገለግሉ ጽንሰ ሐሳቦች ተነስተውባቸው የነበረ መሆኑን እናስተውላለን ከዛ በኋላ ሌሎች የሂፖክራተስ ስራዎችንም እዚህ ውስጥ ሂስትሪ ውስጥ ማንሳት ይኖርብናል በኋላ ግን በዊልሄልም ቡንት አማካኝነት ቡንት established the first laboratory of psychology በ1879 ማለት ነውና ያ እንግዲህ ምርምሮች እንዲደረጉ የሚያደርግ መሰረት የተጣለበት ነውና ለዚህ ነው ቡንት is the founder or father of modern psychology ምንለው እነኚህ ነገሮች ራሱን እንቻለ ሙያ እንዲሆን ያበረከቱት አስተዋጽኦ ከፍተኛ ነበረ ከዛ በኋላ ግን የተለያዩ ቪዎች የትኩረት የሳይኮሎጂ ትኩረት ምን ላይ ይሆን የሚለው የተለያየ ቪው እንዲኖር አድርጎታል በዚህ ምክንያት ክላሲካል or early schools of psychology or early schools of thought መተዋል structuralism ላይ teacher advocacy በintrospectionism መለካ psychology shall deal with the structure of mind the elements the components የሚል አይነት advocacy እናስተውላለን ማለት ነው ከዛ ውጪ የቲችነር በነገራችን ላይ he was a student of Wundt የሚሉ ሊትሬቸሮች ላይ ታነቡት ትችላላችሁ functionalism ላይ በዊሊያም ጄምስ leading role the how of mind was on the emphasis Gestalt psychology ላይ ተመልከቱ የማክስ ወርዝሄይመር and Wolfgang Kohlerን እዚህ ስላይድ ላይ እንደምታዩት the whole is greater than the sum of parts the sum of its parts ይሄ Gestalt የሚለው የጀርመን ወርድ Gestalt የሚለው የጀርመን ወርድ whole ወይም form የሚለው ትርጓሜ ነው ያለውና እዛ ጋራ ሳይኮሎጂ ትኩረት ሊያደርግባቸው የሚገቡ ነገሮች ፎርም ላይ ሆል ሚኒንግ ፐርሰፕሽን ላይ ነው የሚል አድቮኬሲ ነበረ። ከዛ በኋላ ደግሞ ቢሄቪየሪስቶች አንዱ ያንዱን ክፍተቶች እያየ ነው ባይዘው ስትራክቸራሊዝም ላይ ለምሳሌ ኦብጀክቲቭ በሆነ ወይም ደግሞ ይሄ ተጨባጭ በሆነ መንገድ አናሊሲስ ልንሰራለት የምንችል አይነት ኤንቲቲ ምንድነው ብሎ ለማጤን የሚደረጉ ጥረቶች አስቸጋሪ ሲሆኑ ፋንክሽናሊዝም ደግሞ ሃው የሚለው ከዛ ገሽታልት ላይ ቢሄቪየሪስቶች ደግሞ ባህሪ ነው ኦብዘርቫብል ቢሄቪየር ላይ ነው ማተኮር መቻል ያለብን ኢቭን ከኢንትሮስፔክሽን በላይ ሌሎች የመለኪያ መንገዶች መምጣት መቻል አለባቸው ሲስተማቲክ ኦብዘርቬሽን አካባቢ የሰው ልጆች ባህሪ ላይ ያለው ተጽዕኖ ነው ዋትሰን ኤምፋሳይዝ የሚያደርገው እና you are what you experience የሚል አይነት ነው behavior totally አካባቢ ላይ ዲፔንደንት የሆነ አይነት ፓሲቭ ሬሲፒየንት እንደሆነ ዋትሰን የአሜሪካን ሳይኮሎጂ ላይ ያለው ተጽዕኖ ከፍ ያለ ነው ሞጁል ላይ ስትማሩ ታዩታላችሁ በዚህ አጋጣሚ ግን እዚህ ስላይድ ላይ ማንሳት ስለፈለኩ ነው ከዚህ አራቱ ከላይ የምታያቸው እነዚህ አራቱ ኮንሺየስ ማይንድ ላይ ትኩረት ያደርጉና ሐሳቦችን ሲሰጡ በተለያየ መንገድ ቶቶቻቸውን ሲያንጸባርቁ ከቆዩ በኋላ ሲግመንድ ፍሮይድ ሜዲካል ዶክተር ነበረ እና ሂስቴሪያን ለማከም በሚያደርግበት ወቅት ላይ ፌስ ያደረጋቸውን ነገሮች ተከትሎ የአንኮንሺየስ ፓርት ኦፍ ሂውመን ማይንድ ሻል ቢ ዘ ፎከስ የሚል አይነት አድቮኬሲ ይዞ መጣ በሳይኮ አናሊሲስ ማለት ነው ያ ብቻ ሳይሆን ቻይልድሁድ ኤክስፒሪየንስንም የተለየ ቦታ የሚሰጥ አይነት ቪው አይተናል ሞደርን ስኩልስ ኦፍ ሳይኮሎጂ ላይ እነ ሞደርን ስኩልስ ቀደም ኤርሊ ስኩልስ ነበር ያየነው ሞደርን ስኩልስ አሁን ሪሰንትሊ ኮንቴምፖራሪ የሆኑ ማያዎችን በተለያየ መንገድ ዲስከስ እንድናደርግ የሚረዱ ሐሳቦች ተንጸባርቀዋል እዚህ ውስጥ ምን ነገሮች አሉ ካልን ቪዋቸው አንደኛ አሁን እንደ ቲዮሪ አድቮኬት የምናደርጋቸው ነገሮች እንድናስተውል የሚረዱ ሐሳቦች ናቸው እዚህ ውስጥ ሲንጸባረቁ የምናስተውለው ማለት ነው ከኤርሊ ስኩልስ በነገራችን ላይ ኤርሊ ስኩልስ ላይ ያየናቸው እንደ ቢሄቪየሪዝም እና ሳይኮ አናሊሲስ አፕዴት የተደረጉ ወይም የነኛ ኤክስቴንሽን የሆነ ሞደርን ቨርሰስ እናስተውላለን ለምሳሌ ሳይኮ ዳይናሚክን እና ቢሄቪየራል አፕሮችን እና እነኚህ ነገሮች አፕዴትድ ቨርሰስ ሆነው እናስተውላለን ኮንቴምፖራሪ ቪውስ ላይ ማለት ነው እንያቸው በዝርዝር እስኪ እንመልከታቸው አንደኛ እዚህ ጋር የምናገኘው ሳይኮ ዳይናሚክ ፐርስፔክቲቭ ነው ኒዮ ፍሮይዲያንስ unconscious dynamics psychic determinism childhood experiences intrapersonal conflict ትኩረት አድርገው ያብራራሉ ቲሞች የባህሪ ዲተርሚን ከማድረግ አንፃር የሚታዩትን behavioral perspective ደግሞ መማር የሰዎች ባህሪ ላይ ያለውን ተጽዕኖ በሰፊው ያነሳል it's concerned with how the behavior the environment affects person's behavior እንግዲህ እዚህ ጋር የምታዩ ቅድም ቶታሊታሪያን የሚል አይነት እንትን ነበር ያነሳውት አይደለም አሁን እዚህ ጋር የምንመለከተው ግን ነርቸር ሆኖ no doubt ሙሉ በሙሉም ባይባል there is high share this is why behavioral approachን በዚህ መንገድ የአካባቢ የሰዎች ባህሪ ላይ ያለው ተጽዕኖ የምናይበት humanistic perspective የአብርሃም ማስሎ and ካርል ሮጀርስ እንግዲህ ካርል ሮጀርስን በካውንስሊንግ ሳይኮሎጂ unconditional positive regard የሚለው ፍሬዝ ላይ በደንብ እናውቀዋለን በhumanistic perspective human behavior is a result of free will human behavior is not determined either by unconscious or environment rather free will የሚል አይነት ፊርም የሆነ ስታንድ አለ self fulfillment potential maximization and positive ሳይዱን አድቮኬት የሚያደርግ አይነት ነው። humanitarian view humanistic perspective። cognitive perspective ደግሞ በጣም የሚታወቅበት you are what you think የምታስበውን የምታስቢውን ነሽ። human behavior is a result of thinking የሚል ነው። ቅድም behavioral ላይ nurture ብል ነበር። አሁን ደግሞ nature, genetics, hereditary endowment matters የሚል advocacy እናስተውላለን ማጋ biological perspective ላይ። And then we do have sociocultural approach. Sociocultural approach mainly emphasizes the role of social norms, values, and socialization, acculturation issues, and cultural factors in determining and influencing human behavior. The biopsychosocial approach is the latest approach that advocates that human behavior is a result of interplay between nature and nurture. That's what we can get from the perspectives and modern views. We do have subfields of psychology. By the way, the subfields of psychology, academic and professional or other areas are developmental, ለምሳሌ community psychology, personality psychology, psychometrics, etc. are not here in this list, but we just give emphasis for personality psychology is here. I'm very sorry. Developmental psychology deals with human development across the lifespan, change through age and stage. Personality, social psychology deals with individual behavior in the society. Cultural psychology, industrial psychology, forensic psychology that deals with investigation related matters. Health psychology deals with preventive and treatment modalities so far as human health is concerned. Clinical and counseling psychology are there. We take that as way into further reading, right? I'm just urging you to read a lot with this insight in mind. Finally, let's just take a look at the research methods in psychology. The scientific method refers to a process of testing ideas through systematic observation, experimentation, empirical way of dealing with issues, empirical controlled ways, and searching again and again, questing. With this in mind, let me just move to the types of research methods. We do have the types of research methods here. Descriptive, by the way, there are 4 goals of psychology as we have seen it in the second topic of chapter 1. Description, explanation, prediction, and modification. Descriptive research helps us to pursue the goal of description. It can be done through natural observation, case study, and surveys. Naturalistic observation can be done by using observation checklist or any form of recording alongside with observation mechanism. There are limitations in it. You can take a look at it. Case study is the in-depth investigation of a single case. The advantage here is there is huge and triggered, very tremendous deep inquiry, though it has disadvantage as the researcher cannot apply the results to similar people. Generalization or external validity is in question. Survey is used to collect data from a very large group of people. We use questionnaire and interview for gathering data from respondents. Well, that's all about the descriptive research in brief. The other is correlational research. It helps us to study relationship between variables. When we deal with relationship between variables, we get the correlation coefficient R. The Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient R can be calculated by using formula, and then the result is between 0 and plus or minus 1. When it is 0, it means there is no relationship. When it is negative, it means there is inverse relationship. When it is positive correlation, it means there is direct relationship. Meaning when one variable increases, the other variable also increases. When one variable decreases, the other variable also decreases. So there is direct relationship. But the positive and negative sign of R does not show the magnitude of relationship, rather it shows direction. The magnitude is indicated by the decimal. For example, if it is 0.8, let it be negative or positive. It means there is a strong relationship, 0.8. The negative shows that when one variable increases, the other variable decreases, and vice versa. And the positive, I have talked about that earlier. That's about correlation research. One huge drawback of correlation research is it does not show us causation. It doesn't show us cause-effect relationship. Please allow me to look into the experimental research. We have said that correlation research does not show us cause-effect relationship between the variables, right? This drawback will just be overcome by using experimental research. In fact, correlation research helps us to predict. Prediction can be done or pursued by using correlation research. In experimental research, it just helps us to identify or to sort out causation, to dig into causation, to study cause and effect relationship between variables. The independent variable is the cause or the factor that's manipulated by the researcher, and the dependent variable is the outcome. Here we deal with the relationship between the two by controlling the extraneous variable. The variables we have here, independent variables, are causes, factors manipulated by experimenter, and then dependent variables are effects, outcomes, results, and measured by experimenter. Those extraneous variables are expected to be controlled in looking at the influence of the independent variable on the dependent ones. And meanwhile, there are groups, control group and experimental group. The experimental group receives treatment. Here, it receives treatment, but the control group receives no treatment. The purpose of having control group is comparison. We go for comparing the results. Of course, in both ways, in both groups, we go for having a pretest, and then treatment for experimental group, no treatment for the control group, and post-test should be done. Then with that, the statistical analysis, the t-test will just reveal that whether there is a statistically significant mean difference following the treatment in the experimental group or not, plus in the control group. So we can go for concluding accordingly. And in the last resort, I have the steps of scientific research. Defining the problem is the first stage. We should explicitly disclose what the problem is, and then formulate the hypothesis. Hypothesis is a tentative solution for a problem. Formulating a hypothesis shall be accompanied by the third step, that is, of course, about testing the hypothesis, and then drawing a conclusion based on analysis. After the analysis, we draw conclusion, and then we communicate the result or report the result. That's what we have for today. So far we have seen the what of psychology, the definition, goals of psychology, the history, early schools of psychology, contemporary or modern perspectives in psychology. We were also talking about the branch and specializations in psychology, the research methods in psychology. These research methods in psychology are actually methodologically similar with other disciplines in science, but the thematic area is psychologized in this context. Well, the other point that I should forward as a final point of say is the area is about areas of applications of psychology. Psychology, as a scientific study of behavior and mental processes, can be applied across disciplines. ሰዎች ጋር የሚሰሩ ሙያዎች ላይ በጤና ተቋማት፣ በትምህርት ተቋማት፣ በሕግና መሰል ተቋማት፣ በየትኛውም ቦታ ላይ የሰውን ባህሪ ማጥናት አእምሮ ሂደቶችን መመርመር በሚያስፈልጉ ሁኔታዎች ውስጥ የሳይኮሎጂ ሙያ ገበሬ የሚደረግበት የልጆች አስተዳደግ ተቋማት ሁሉ ማለት ነው። በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። ለዛሬ ይህን ይመስላል። I will see you later. Please subscribe Wisdom Lecture Collection. Thank you. Have a great day.